Welcome to the Dawn Osborne Show, Limitless Life. The big question women like you and I ask is, how do we do that? How do we have a growth mindset? How do we increase our emotional intelligence? How do we do life, business and marketing, and yet still remain balanced in the rhythm of our life and our family? Those are the questions that this podcast will answer. My name is Dawn Osborne, and welcome to my Limitless Life podcast. Hello. Welcome to another session of Wow Women. We have got the very fabulous Sarah Sheehy with us today. She is an emotional healing coach. She's super amazing, and she has an epic story that I want to share to you. She has lived such a variety of life. She's done so much. She's traveled the world. She has an amazing husband. They've got an amazing business over here on the Sunshine Coast. And I just want to get her to share her story with us today, but also some of her wisdom that she has learned along her journey. So let's just welcome the very fabulous Sarah. Hey, Sarah.
Hey, Dawn. Thank you for having me on your show this morning.
Oh, you're most welcome. You're most welcome. So you have this amazing life that I've only caught snippets of. You've been on an incredible journey. You've done so much. Obviously, you're British born, kindred spirit that you are. But in your bio, I was reading that you have worked in the operas. Okay, so I'm not really an opera kind of girl, but I just would love to hear more about, how your journey started. So you would have had some crazy experiences working in operas, right?
Oh, it was just incredible. It's like a different world. So I was 20 when I started, and I started on Phantom of the Opera in London. Yeah. And I started off just as the assistant, and then through a series of unfortunate events, the head guy actually got sick and left 2 days before opening night, and he pushed me up. So there I was, 21, and in control of Andrew Lloyd Webber's biggest production ever, as far as doing the wigs and makeup.
Wow, that's amazing. That's fantastic.
So I did Sarah's hair and makeup for the video that she did with Steve Harley, and every night we had all the celebrities. We had Tom Cruise, Bruce Willis, Cher, Princess Di and Fergie came, went out for dinner with Steven Spielberg and Andrew Lloyd Webber. It was just an insane time to be young and living in London doing all this crazy stuff.
Oh, wow. And so what was Tom Cruise like?
Short.
He looks so much bigger on TV.
He does. And Bruce Willis was in red cowboy boots. And I remember just looking at these red cowboy boots thinking, wow, okay. But I think one of my favorite stories, I also worked in Harrods just before getting the job. And Freddie Mercury came in, and this is very topical with Bohemian Rhapsody out there at the moment, and he came in to buy fragrance for his entourage, and he was in a floor-length fur coat with his bodyguards, and he bought like 30 of these perfume packs or whatever for everybody, but when I went to do his credit card, it was declined, and in those days, you had to have authority, and the lady said to me, cut the card in half. And I'm looking at Freddie Mercury, and I'm going, I have to cut your card in half. And he said, don't you know who I am? Yes, I do, but I'm sorry. And I actually cut his credit card in half.
Wow.
And I lived to tell the tale.
You did. I mean, there's not many people in this world can say that you cut Freddie Mercury's credit card in half. That is a unique story. See, I knew you had some unique stories and that would be hilarious. Any other encounters that you had during that season? Did you meet your husband through working at the opera or anything like that?
No, well, that was in London. I was there for 3.5 years, but then I got a phone call in the middle of the night inviting me to come out to the Opera House to work with the Australian Opera, and so I sold everything I had. I bought a one-way ticket and landed at at the Opera House, and a year later, that was where I met my husband.
Ah, because what was your husband doing at the time?
He was a ballet dancer.
And you know what? I have seen your husband bust some moves, and I am super impressed. I'm like,
He's
honestly
still
thought
got it.
he got it. That pirouette was flawless, flawless.
Yeah,
And that's a wow. I need to get him on the wow show. So talk
you
to him
do.
about his journey, because that
You
pirouette was
do.
something else. And
So
so tell us. Yeah, go on. Sorry.
no, he used to be a rugby player at 16, and then at 16 decided to take his first dance class and studied at QUT, and within 3 years was at the opera as a professional ballet dancer. And that was our destiny to meet. So I came all the way from London. He became this rugby playing ballet dancer, and that was how we met.
I'm sorry, I'm a visual person, and so I have got this, like, how does that happen? How do you go from a rugby player to a ballerina? Like, it's just incongruent. There's a real disconnect. But hey, that's a story. I would love to hear that story more. But getting back to you, so you've come all the way to Australia. You're working with the rich, famous, and all the celebrities. Tell us a little bit more. Because you've become a healing coach now, and I truly believe that where we are right now with women particularly, and our kids and our teens, there's a lot of healing that needs to take place. There's a lot of pain out there that needs to be taken care of. And so us sharing our wisdom right now will help someone who's listening or watching. Tell me how that journey came about. Like, how did you become a healing coach? Can you unpack that for us a little bit?
Yeah. So when I left the opera, I worked for a year at Patricia King's place called Quest for Life, and that was the first cancer and AIDS centre that was looking at doing support groups and meditation and giving naturopathic advice to help people that were going through essentially terminal illness. And that led me then to study to become a naturopath and a homeopath. And I did that in 3 years, got married and had a baby at the same time, as you do. And then through my practice, my focus at that time was on preconception care and infertility. But I found that even though we're looking at what people were eating and drinking, it was the emotional blockages and barriers and wounding that was preventing the healing. And I'd done some psychology. I then went on and did more counselling courses. Yeah. And I found that when you actually start to address the deep emotional wounding and trauma, that's when people start to shift and change. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So do you feel, I know a little bit about your past, and we can go there a little bit. I know myself, we've all got a story, right? We've all got a season of pain that we've had to walk through. And I know that out of the greatest seasons of my pain, as painful as it was, I know that I get the other side of that. And it's like, do you know what? I need to help someone who is in the middle of this. It's like you said something before we went live. We're drowning. There's a sense of drowning in whatever we're going through, and then we swim to a boat. We get on top of the boat. And we're like, okay, I'm so glad I feel safe again. That's over. I don't have to be in the water with the sharks anymore. But then you turn around and there's a whole heap of other people in the boat, right? Who are drowning, who are not surviving. They don't feel safe. They've gone through abuse, assault. They're going through addictions. There's all sorts. And there's part of you that goes, oh my gosh, I know exactly how they feel. Is the calling on my life to help these people and get them to kick and swim to the safe place and get them on the boat. And so I know that that's happened to me, and I feel like maybe that's what's happened to you, because you find that most people who are in the healing profession or coaching or counseling is usually because they've done a journey and they have experience, and they just know that they're called to help others. So with you, Sarah, is that what happened to you?
Yeah, I think it doesn't matter what your trauma is. The fact that there is trauma there. I had a difficult childhood, but through that, I've been able to assist women that may be going through all sorts of abuse. So it doesn't matter whether your abuse is physical, sexual, emotional. It doesn't matter. That whole package of abuse, we can actually release. And through that, you can learn, rather than being a survivor. I think the biggest journey for any of us is to not be a survivor, but to become an overcomer. When you're an overcomer, you're then at the point where the trauma, whatever the trauma was, it's not impacting your life, but you're not wearing it as a badge of honor.
Absolutely.
So sometimes,
excellent.
I found, you can go through life and you can see people wearing their trauma, and they're still holding the resentments and the bitterness and the anger, and that festers inside. And it's when you become an overcomer that you can let go of all that.
Yeah.
And that's the shift.
Yeah. It's like, you can get the other side of it. It's like you can get on the boat. It's like, I'm on the boat now. I'm not still being, often, I've done a lot of teaching on this about how we can become victims of our circumstances, and we're quite happy to be victims. That's where we get our identity. But I believe that, no, we need to be living a victorious life, which is me. I'm on the boat and I'm victorious.
Yeah.
I'm like, I've overcome this. I don't live in the pain of my past. I've actually overcome it. And I'm using what was meant for bad. I'm now turned it around and I'm using it for good. So that's awesome.
And
Sarah.
from that place of empowerment and authority, it gives you the capacity to actually, lift others.
Yes. Yeah.
And from a naturopathic point of view, we look at how this also registers in the body. And I know that my own battle with my body has come from, that wounding festering inside of me when I wasn't able to deal with it. Yeah. So I look at, I'm now in my 50s, but I look at what I've been able to come through and live now a very vibrant life, Yeah. 3 times I was told.
Yeah.
Go for it.
No. I want to know more about this. I want to know more about your illness. Tell us.
So, three times I was told that I only had a few months to live. And that happened over the last sort of 9 years. And at various times, it was looking really severe. I was down to 40 kilos. I was on some immune suppressant therapy and nothing was working. At one point, I ended up in emergency and they left me for 3 days saying it's too dangerous to operate. There's nothing we can do. And my son was sitting his QCS 2 days later, and there I was lying in bed and there was nothing that they could do. And that creates in you an incredible will to fight. You will not give up. You will do whatever it takes. You draw on every bit of your tenacity to be able to push through that. And through that, I'm now at the point that I can also help others that have gone through that incurable situation.
Yes. That's a miracle. That's a great story. And that really is hope right there, And what I caught from that, Sarah, was there was a real sense of the power of your mind and your will. It was like, no, I refuse to be a victim of this circumstances. I am going to get out of this bed. I'm going to get healed. And it's a real mindset, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've got 2 things, one minute it's get out of bed and live life. The other was stay here because it's easier, So I understand all too well how powerful the mind can be. And, which one are you going to choose? It's like the devil on your shoulder, this side, the angel on this side. And they're both like, get up, stay there, get up, stay there, get up. And I think if you choose to get up and you listen to the voice, the positive voice that, I think your life will be a lot. I think you'll be that, as part of that process about being the overcomer, right?
I had a turning point for me. I was in bed and I hadn't eaten, I think, for about 5 days at that point. And the doctor was sitting on the end of the bed and he said to me, you're not taking this seriously enough, Sarah. You are going to die. And my girlfriend had given me this beautiful gluten-free cookbook that I was sort of flicking through, even though I hadn't eaten, for 5 days. And I looked at him and I just laughed. And he said to me, he shuffled up the bed a bit and he said to me again, you're not taking this seriously, or you're not hearing what I'm telling you. And I said, I'm hearing what you're telling me, but I'm not believing what you're telling me, because I've got a plan to live.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
And that was when the fight was on. Yeah.
Yeah. It was like you stepped in the ring. It's like,
Yep.
yeah. And it all came down to a belief. That's what I heard then. It was like, I believe. And you had absolute certainty with that belief. You know, it's like, no, I am going to get well. I am certain. And I even heard it in your voice. And so there you go. It's a whole attitude that you have towards your adversity. I often describe it as, you know, there's a giant, and it's not a nice giant, and you're looking at it and you're like, no, I am going to, I refuse to let you control my life. I will be passing through. Thank you very much. So that's fantastic. Let's get into some wisdom. I know that you would have some gorgeous little juicy wisdom tips for us. So what's number one?
Number one is hope. Hope for me conjures up so much strength, so much emotion, you know, just immediately positively charges me. And it's just always been a word that resonates with me. And I have this beautiful saying that I have that I've picked up along the way. When the world says give up, hope whispers in my ear and says try one more time.
Oh, that's awesome.
And that transitions me when I'm going through stuff from being a victim to being the overcomer. It just lifts me out of that, and that tenacity kicks in, that stubbornness, that sheer drive kicks in, and you go, you know what? I'm not giving up. I've got this.
Yeah, that's absolute gold. Absolute gold. You're right. Okay, number two.
Number two is to surprise yourself. So when I say that, it's sometimes we can have limitations put on us by ourselves, by our belief patterns that we've grown up with, by other people's words over us. Somebody at school may have said something, somebody in your workforce, one of your family members may have said something to you, and that creates this ceiling over you. And it can limit your potential. It can limit you. You put yourself in a box. And I just see us all like these amazing, powerful women that are like this jack in a box that just explode out. And we go, surprise, I've got more. I know there's more in me. I've got more to do, more to give, more to achieve. So surprise yourself at what you aim for, how far you can get in life, how far you can get in relationships.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I truly believe that, you know, if you're in a moment where you're just feeling hopeless, and if you can go back in your world and go, actually, I had a win there, or I remember when I had a success. So look back in your life and remember when you had a success, and and often I've done things, I'm sure you have too, where I go, gee whiz, I have no idea how I did that or even achieved that. Like that's what you mean by surprise yourself. You actually just had a go, and it's like, I've had a few of those moments. So I'm thinking, if someone's watching right now and you're feeling a little bit hopeless, go back and remember the wins that you've had. Remember the successes. Remember those moments when you were actually surprised with what you could achieve once you applied it, because it's quite inspiring. You're like, you know what, if I did it before, I can do it again, and you can do it, so it's one of those thought processes and mindsets. Like, it'll make you get up. It'll make you not lie down. Say, you know what? No, I've had a win before. I've had a success before. I'm going to get up, and you will surprise yourself. So that is that's a good piece of wisdom right there. What's your number three?
Number three is around raising your standards and expectations. So it's very easy, I think, in life to, we get the media bombarding us with things, and we just think, okay, that's all I'm worth. That's all I'm able to do. That's where I'm at. But even in relationships, just lift your standard a little bit more. Lift your standard in how you treat people, but also how you expect people to treat you. It's about lifting out and expecting more, and then you're able to give more as well. So it's a two-way street, that one. It's about receiving more and giving more.
Yeah, that's true. And often you find that, media is dictating what we should see, especially social media and Instagram. And I've raved on about this for years, but, you hear that you should look a certain way, you should act a certain way, and it's also fake. It's like, no, you set your own standards. Don't allow other influences set. You set your own. You want to, don't do that, because I know that's. I actually was. This is kind of, put this in brackets, but I was researching the biggest problems in Australia right now with people, and one is self-image. Self-image is a huge problem for, especially with our young people, our millennials growing up. So I know we kind of got to we've got to give them a different message. Raise your standards. No, you don't have to look like that or be like that. It's
be you, and it's that strength to be you, and to know, yes, you look fabulous in that outfit, in those jeans, whatever it is, and give yourself that confidence to just wear it, whatever shape you are, whatever body type you are. Know that you are amazing. You have been created to be you, and we're not meant to all fit into these little pigeonholes. We're meant to be us. So glorify yourself in that way, and just be you.
No, that's it. That's fantastic. Fantastic. Thank you, Sarah. They were great pieces of wisdom, and they're very different to what we've had on the show before. That was really, really good. Tell me what you're doing now. So you're based on the Sunshine Coast in Queensland, Australia. Tell me what you do now.
Yeah. So Jason and I have Kingdom House Tanawa. So we have this beautiful events function centre. But what I'm doing there is I am still doing emotional healing work, release from trauma. And so people can come and see me there, because what we're able to do is, help people shift from being victim to being overcomer.
Yes. Yeah, that is fantastic. So if there's anybody, on the Sunshine Coast who feels like they need some assistance in that area, definitely, I would highly recommend go see Sarah or contact her on Facebook, so they can find you, Sarah Sheehy, on Facebook, and drop her a message. She would be a wonderful person to go see if you're needing help right now. So that's fantastic, Sarah. You've been a great pleasure. You have shared some fantastic wisdom, and thank you so much. I've loved having you on the show.
Thank you, Dawn. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, guys. Well, that was another round of Wow Women. We are going to go into 2019 with a whole new look and feel. I'll be it's our last Wow Women next week, and then I will be announcing. There will be some special announcements about what we're doing for 2019. It looks slightly different, but thanks again for joining us, and we will see you next time on the Wow Women Show. Bye.